If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. I don't care that they stole my idea. I care that they don't have any of their own. I do not think you can name many great inventions that have been made by married men. Of all things, I like books best. The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence. The scientists of today think deeply and not clearly. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane. Be alone, that is the secret of invention. Be alone, that is when ideas are born. My brain is only a receiver. In the universe there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists. If your hate could be turned into electricity, it would light up the whole world. I do not think there is any thrill that can go through the human heart like that felt by the inventor as he sees some creation of the brain unfolding to success. Such emotions make a man forget food, sleep, friends, love, everything. What we now want is closer contact and better understanding between individuals and communities all over the earth, and the elimination of egoism and pride, which is always prone to plunge the world into primeval barbarism and strife. Peace can only come as a natural consequence of universal enlightenment. All that was great in the past was ridiculed, condemned, combated, suppressed, only to emerge all the more powerfully, all the more triumphantly from the struggle. Let the future tell the truth and evaluate each one according to his work and accomplishments. The present is theirs, the future, for which I have really worked, is mine. Our virtues and our failings are inseparable, like force and matter. When they separate, man is no more. Life is and will ever remain an equation incapable of solution, but it contains certain known factors. Invention is the most important product of man's creative brain. The ultimate purpose is the complete mastery of mind over the material world, the harnessing of human nature to human needs. Today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation, and eventually build a structure which has no relation to reality. I am credited with being one of the hardest workers, and perhaps I am, if thought is the equivalent of labor, for I have devoted to it almost all of my waking hours. But if work is interpreted to be a definite performance in a specified time according to a rigid rule, then I may be the worst of idlers. The gift of mental power comes from God, divine being, and if we concentrate our minds on that truth, we become in tune with this great power. My mother had taught me to seek all truth in the Bible. The individual is ephemeral, races and nations come and pass away, but man remains. What we now want most is closer contact and better understanding between individuals and communities all over the earth, and the elimination of that fanatic devotion to exalted ideals of national egoism and pride, which is always prone to plunge the world into primeval barbarism and strife. I am part of a light, and it is the music. The light fills my 6 senses. I see it, hear, feel, smell, touch, and think. Thinking of it means my 6th sense. Particles of light are written note. A bolt of lightning can be an entire sonata. 1,000 balls of lightning is a concert. For this concert I have created a ball lightning, which can be heard on the icy peaks of the Himalayas. But instinct is something which transcends knowledge. We have, undoubtedly, certain finer fibers that enable us to perceive truths when logical deduction, or any other willful effort of the brain, is futile. Most persons are so absorbed in the contemplation of the outside world that they are wholly oblivious to what is passing on within themselves. Every living being is an engine geared to the wheelwork of the universe, though seemingly affected only by its immediate surrounding. The sphere of external influence extends to infinite distance. The scientific man does not aim at an immediate result. He does not expect that his advanced ideas will be readily taken up. His work is like that of the planter, for the future. His duty is to lay the foundation for those who are to come, and point the way. He lives and labors and hopes. My method is different. I do not rush into actual work. When I get an idea, I start at once building it up in my imagination. I change the construction, make improvements, and operate the device entirely in my mind. So astounding are the facts in this connection, that it would seem as though the Creator himself had electrically designed this planet. Peace can only come as a natural consequence of universal enlightenment and merging of races, and we are still far from this blissful realization. Most certainly, some planets are not inhabited, but others are, and among these there must exist life under all conditions and phases of development. As I review the events of my past life, I realize how subtle are the influences that shape our destinies. The progressive development of man is vitally dependent on invention. It is the most important product of his creative brain. It is not in the shallow physical imitation of men that women will assert first their equality and later their superiority, but in the awakening of the intellect of women. There is something within me that might be illusion, as it is often case with young delighted people. But if I would be fortunate to achieve some of my ideals, it would be on the behalf of the whole of humanity. All perceptible matter comes from a primary substance, or tenuity beyond conception, filling all space, the akasha or luminiferous ether, which is acted upon by the life-giving prana or creative force, calling into existence, in never-ending cycles, all things and phenomena. The progressive development of man is vitally dependent on invention. When natural inclination develops into a passionate desire, one advances towards his goal in 7 league boots. From childhood I was compelled to concentrate attention upon myself. This caused me much suffering, but to my present view, it was a blessing in disguise, for it has taught me to appreciate the inestimable value of introspection in the preservation of life, as well as a means of achievement. Instinct is something which transcends knowledge. We have, undoubtedly, certain finer fibers that enable us to perceive truths when logical deduction, or any other willful effort of the brain, is futile. The idea of atomic energy is illusionary, but it has taken so powerful a hold on the minds that although I have preached against it for 25 years, there are still some who believe it to be realizable. One may feel a sudden wave of sadness and rake his brain for an explanation when he might have noticed that it was caused by a cloud cutting off the rays of the sun. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have a key to the universe. A telephone subscriber here may call up and talk to any other subscriber on the globe. An inexpensive receiver, not bigger than a watch, will enable him to listen anywhere, on land or sea, to a speech delivered or music played in some other place, however distant. When a child is born, its sense organs are brought in contact with the outer world. The waves of sound, heat, and light beat upon its feeble body. Its sensitive nerve fibers quiver. The muscles contract and relax in obedience, a gasp, a breath, and in this act a marvelous little engine, of inconceivable delicacy and complexity of construction, unlike any on earth, is hitched to the wheelwork of the universe. The progressive development of man is vitally dependent on invention. It is the most important product of his creative brain. Its ultimate purpose is the complete mastery of mind over the material world, the harnessing of the forces of nature to human needs. I am unwilling to accord to some small-minded and jealous individuals the satisfaction of having thwarted my efforts. These men are to me nothing more than microbes of a nasty disease. My project was retarded by laws of nature. The world was not prepared for it. It was too far ahead of time, but the same laws will prevail in the end and make it a triumphal success. The recurrence of a phenomenon like Edison is not very likely. The profound change of conditions and the ever-increasing necessity of theoretical training would seem to make it impossible. He will occupy a unique and exalted position in the history of his native land, which might well be proud of his great genius and undying achievements in the interest of humanity. Misunderstandings are always caused by the inability of appreciating one another's point of view. This again is due to the ignorance of those concerned, not so much in their own, as in their mutual fields. The by far greater number of human beings are never aware of what is passing around and within them, and millions fall victims of disease and die prematurely just on this account. I counted the steps in my walks and calculated the cubical contents of soup plates, coffee cups, and pieces of food, otherwise my meal was unenjoyable. There is scarcely a subject that cannot be mathematically treated and the effects calculated or the results determined beforehand from the available theoretical and practical data.